There was a post just put up at the board that from a member who was saying, they just titled the post terrible, and it was regarding what he had just read about e-cigarettes and kids using them. Now, I started to make a video about it, and it got really long. I realized when I'm having a hard time coming up with concise e-cigarette videos because it is such a complex issue. You've got the tobacco control community so split on this. You've got the people who are thinking that somehow this is going to be a cessation aid, and I've got a video addressing that already that I'll attach here. We see people who are looking at this as the great product because of its harm reduction potential, and I've got a video on that too that I'm going to attach in the description here. But I want to point out, for the board specifically, e-cigarettes are kind of a non-issue if you really consider who we are at this board. We're people who came in because you recognize you were a nicotine addict, you were tired of that addiction. Yes, you may have been dealing with it on a physical level, that you were concerned just about the fact that they were killing you, cigarettes. But I think once you spend a little bit of time here, you realize that cigarettes were causing lots of other problems besides just the fact that they were killing you. Yeah, killing you were big. That's a big issue. But the complications that they made your life, how much more complicated, and what a lower quality of life it was by having to maintain the active drug addiction. And it's a unique position I think the board is in. We don't have to spend a lot of time debating, comparing e-cigarettes and other nicotine products, because there's no difference between them. They're a nicotine delivery system, and everybody is here because they're tired of nicotine delivery. They're tired of having to maintain the life of constantly balancing nicotine, not letting too much in and not letting too much out, which is just difficult process when you have limitations of where you can smoke and when you have physiological effects going on your body that makes your body demand more smoke. So over time, we'll have material developed for e-cigarettes. John and I have been racking our brains on this for a little bit now, but it won't be at the Freedom Board. It'll be through the Why Quit venue, because that's where it's really a more appropriate issue. We have that set up as a site trying to help prevent people from taking up using, and it's just probably the better route to go for major discussions about this. So I'm going to attach this video into the string. I'm also going to attach existing information we have about e-cigarettes, but I want to point out it's really not for the purpose of how our members are dealing with their quits. It's almost more for information of members who have kids. It's for information of members who are encountering other people who just kind of want to have some information about, nicotine addiction, and we will supply that kind of information where it fits into there. As far as the harm reduction issues, or again, as a quitting issue, it really is a non-starter. It's no different than any other nicotine replacement out there. And again, that's the studies are coming out showing that it's as effective as nicotine replacement. But to our members, that should be a great red flag of, oh, this is a pretty useless product for nicotine cessation, because these nicotine replacement products don't work. So again, I just want to keep this relatively short. I will attach in the description of this video pertinent information that we have right now about e-cigarettes, and over time we will get more sophisticated responses, but again, this won't be the venue for it. It will be something we will set up at through Why Quit, and we'll notify as as we kind of get those articles and materials developed. But it's going to take time. It's an extremely complex issue. The tobacco control community is very split, which makes the government job of regulation much more difficult, and you have industries going into this right now which are very sophisticated, and they're using tactics that were used by cigarettes in the past to get people using. And we're dealing with a very complicated problem, and I don't know where it's going to end up at this point in time. So anyway, again, to keep this short, e-cigarettes serve no purpose to anybody reading at this board trying to figure out, oh, does this play into my thinking of how I quit? No. Does it have any bearing on how you stay off? No. The way you quit and the way you stay off cigarettes or any nicotine product, it's by understanding not to stop its delivery once and for all, never let it back into your system. And as far as for, and I can say this for cigarettes and e-cigarettes for all practical purposes, while some people will call it vaping and other people will call it smoking, you're still puffing on both products. And if you want to avoid ever having to become an active user again, it's a matter of making and sticking to the personal commitment to never take another puff.